What about obstacles? There is no losing. Get that. That's got to be your mantra. This has got to be so ingrained, embedded in you, that regardless of the obstacle that you're facing, you know that you're going to win. Okay? Now what I want to suggest is, like, I'm a student of Sun Tzu, okay, The Art of War, have been for most of my life. And one of the tenets of The Art of War is that you cannot know your enemy. You cannot know the strength or the weakness of your enemy. But what you can rely on is your own strength, okay? And what you have to be aware of are your weaknesses, okay? And too often we focus on our strengths, you know, like the guy in the gym that's working out, upper body, but then when you zoom down to his legs, he's got little toothpicks, his legs, okay? It's time that we recognize we have our strengths, but focus on your weaknesses. Because that's where your obstacles are going to attack, as you at your weakest point, okay? And so recognize that. There is no losing. So then what do you do about obstacles? What do I do about obstacles? You compete with the obstacles. You have to look at your obstacles like it's a competition, it's your competitor, and you have to win, okay? Now, after I left corporate America, I took a buyout when AT&T took over, NCR, and 5 months later, I became a mailman. And for 26 years, I walked one of the longest routes in the house. And you're talking about every kind of element, weather, things you never imagine when you're working in the corporate environment, that you're going to be outside during the snowstorms, you're going to be outside in the rainstorms, in the thunderstorms, and ice storms and all that good, in the polar vortex and all that. So what do? You look at all of the obstacles as a mailman that I would face. They would be my competitors. So my competitors were the elements. Okay, whatever the elements were, whether it's 110 degrees outside or whether there was a polar vortex, rainstorm, ice storm, snowstorm, whatever, that was my competitor. I had to win. We were in competition. So you had dogs. I mean, I fought Rottweilers. I fought pit bulls. I fought chows. Those are my competitors. I have to win. Okay? And irate customers, incompetent management, my own body, my physical ailments. I've rolled ankles, I've dislocated thumbs, I've fallen and had gashes and cuts. But what do? You get up and you keep on going. That's your competitor. You can't give in. And these I correlate to the obstacles, you know, in life, sicknesses as well. You just got to continue. If your function is working in the elements, you can't be sidelined by catching a cold. Okay, because that's part of the job. And so what I'm sharing with you right now is you probably will never be a mailman. Okay, I never thought I would be a mailman. But the reality in that is the same reality in every job, in every function, in every business endeavor, in every relationship. Anything that you can imagine that's of worth to you, there are going to be obstacles. And you can't just give in. Some people do, but I don't. And if you want to win, if you want to be a winner, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to be one of the best. Now, when I say one of the best, I mean maybe a fifth of the population, which is a very small number. But that's the best, okay? And you have to push yourself to be the best. You know, I look at a lot of times, you know, how we have immigrants that come into this nation and they become business folks and they own like restaurants or hotels or gas stations or whatever. And a lot of people, you know, take issue with these folks. But what I don't take issue with them at all. See, I've lived in Europe. I've lived in Asia. And I can tell you this without a doubt, that most people in foreign countries do not come to America. It's a very, very small fraction. So what I see, when I see these immigrants that are successful in America, what I see are the special ones out of their nations, that small fraction that had it within them to recognize that no matter what the obstacle that I'm going to be facing, no matter what stands in my way, the roadblocks, I am not going to lose, okay? And so a lot of times, you know, if we take issue with folks like that, we really need to be taking out a pencil and a piece of paper and taking notes. Because I think one of the greatest detriments that we have in our society to being successful is that we know it all. And even when it's failing, we know it all, and we don't take advice. Man, I take advice all the time, man. And so, like, I have some books that I'm selling on my website. And my wife is a businesswoman, a very successful businesswoman. And I just do stuff because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy sharing. And so I had these books on my website for sale for $31. And I was really proud of my website. It was looking good. I created it myself and all. And my wife took one look at it and she said, change the price to $24.99. Like, oh, what? You know, just $5.01 difference, or $6 difference? She said, yeah, change it to $24.99. Because people don't like to see that 3, that 30. They'd rather see the 24. That was my wife trying to tell me what to do, right? You know, you husbands, you know how it is. So you know what I did? I changed the price to $24.99. Why? Because she's the expert. I'm not. I take advice. We have to come to the place where we can take advice. Like I'm giving you advice on this program. And I'm not saying take all the advice. I don't take all advice, man. I'll go to a grocery store and I'll pick up some magazines that have to do with mindfulness, or the Runner's Magazine, or some kind of health magazine, or motivational magazine, entrepreneur magazines. And I'll start reading them. And if I can find one article in that magazine, I'll purchase the magazine. And then when I take it home and start reading it, I'm not probably going to do everything that article says that I should do, but I'm going to pick out what suits me. We have to recognize that. There is no losing in this thing. We have to win. We have to overcome our obstacles. And then find a way to use that obstacle, use the strategy that you're implementing, or implement a strategy against that obstacle that will benefit you. Not just in the face of that obstacle, but for the rest of your life. Because I want to tell you this, when you're facing these competitors, all the obstacles, wherever you're at, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in business, whether it's in health, something that you just want to do for your body, investments or whatever, when you overcome the obstacle or defeat the obstacle, it's yours. That power is yours. First of all, you have confidence because, wow, I just defeated that obstacle. Second, you probably have a game plan that you'll be able to implement later that will benefit you the next time. So it doesn't take as long to figure out, to deliver that, to defeat that obstacle the next time, okay? So use the victory to your benefit. As well, recognize the obstacle and turn that obstacle into a benefit for you. Another tenet of Sun Tzu is to recognize the terrain, recognize what's around you, and use what's around you to defeat your enemy. Okay? And so this is the enemy, your competitors, your obstacles. This is your enemy, right? Okay, so I became a mailman. After 13 years in corporate America, after 13 years of wearing a 3-piece suit, trench coat, carrying a briefcase, a little hat, you know, now I'm a mailman, carrying a 70-pound bag on my back, walking 20 miles a day, because I had a 4-year-old son to feed. There was no way I could turn this down. So what am I going to do? Okay, I got to walk 20 miles a day, 40,000 steps. So I decided that since I have to walk every day, why don't I just turn that into exercise? Okay? So I came to the place where I would start my route 2 hours late just so I'd have to double time the whole day. That was my exercise. And as well, I decided since I had to exercise 5 to 6 days a week, why don't I just eat right? Only from the time I get up until the time I get off of work. However many days I have to work that week. And that worked. So how did I pull that off? Okay, I'm giving you a little bit of time. So I went to the internet and I just Googled healthy foods. Got a couple websites, WebMD and a couple other websites, and they just gave me a long list of foods that were good for me, okay? There wasn't AI back in those days, right? And so then I copied and pasted from each of those websites onto a Word document. And then I printed it off. And then I got a pencil out and I scratched out everything on those lists that I didn't already like. So all that was left on this long list of foods that are healthy for you were only the foods that I liked. And that became my new diet plan. Now, I have to admit, I did add like prunes and pecans to it. I did have to acquire those tastes. I found that if prunes are cold, they taste pretty good. But so I was able to take an obstacle, come up with a particular strategy to defeat that obstacle. And one of the obstacles that I had was that this is a tedious job. You know, I'm sitting here walking all day. How can I turn this into excitement? Okay, I'll start 2 hours late, and then I'll double time it the whole day. That'll make it exciting. Am I going to make it? Yeah, I'm going to make it. And I'm going to get healthy in the process. I did this for about over 20 years. And what I'm suggesting now, I don't walk anymore. I'm not a walking mailman anymore. But I'm in very good health because of all those years of implementing that strategy, of competing against the obstacles, determining a game plan, and winning. And I still utilize that today. I still eat those foods. I'm not a walking mailman anymore, but I eat those same foods every day, 5 days a week. And so why you say 5 days a week? Well, because when you press yourself to say, this is all I'm going to eat forever, it's not going to last. Because that craving and that desire, and we end up not being successful, for a long term, what we tried to implement. So don't be so hard on yourself, So 5 days a week was good enough for me. And I knew that if I ate right 5 days a week, that on Friday night, man, I could go out and buy a large pizza from some pizza place and eat it myself. And I'll be fine because I'm going to work it out the next day. And I've been working out all this time. I'm fine. And so now as I'm not a walking mailman anymore, I still work out. I do a cardio workout, martial art cardio. A key is just like when I pulled that list of all those foods that I liked, and I just simply implemented that as my new diet, as well, I needed to exercise. So what am I going to do? Well, I used to be a martial artist when I was younger. Shoot, I saw this infomercial advertising this Power Kata, they called it. It was a 40-minute martial art cardio consisting of 1,000 punches and 900 kicks. And I'm like, I can do all those punches. I can do all those kicks. Wow. I'm gonna use that. I started that when I was about 50 years old or so. I'll be 67 this year, 2025. It's work. Okay? Because I saw these obstacles and I had to determine. My obstacle for that cardio was I had an abdominal injury. And I still had to keep carrying mail, so I was just walking through this pain. One night I was watching this infomercial, and I thought, man, if I could use that particular Power Kata, because like 95% of my body, even 97% of my body was fine, if I could exercise that 97%, that one sensitive part, that strain that I had would eventually be encompassed by the strengthening muscles that I'm exercising. That was my theory. And in about 5 to 7 months, it worked totally well. Shoot, man, I don't know how many years. That was like 15 or so years ago. I'm fine now. It worked, okay? So I was able to look at an obstacle that I had. The obstacle was my job. The obstacle was the elements. The obstacle was my health, my physical health, all these things. So I had to figure out game plans to defeat it. My abdominal injury, that was my competitor, okay? The elements, that was my competitor. My boredom, that was my competitor. The animals on the route, that was my competitor. Man, when I was a walking mailman in the hood, sometimes I'd carry a hatchet. There was times I carried a machete. I mean, it was bad. There were loose pit bulls. There was a lot of stuff. But I always found a way to overcome those obstacles. And so what I'm suggesting is that I've just shared with you my ways. You need to find your way. Find things but do not settle for defeat. Don't look at an enemy. Don't look at an opponent. Don't look at a competitor and say, oh, I just can't win. And take advice. And I'm giving you some advice right now. I guess we want to tie all this together, is to have a positive attitude. You have to develop. You have to have a positive attitude. Okay? Now, you've heard the saying that is a glass half full or is it half empty? For me, of course, you already know. That glass is half full. And for me, a glass that is half full is a glass that is full. You have to have a positive attitude. And as you begin to experience the victories over your obstacles, experience the victories over your competitors, over your opponents, you're gaining confidence each time. And maintain that confidence.